other. And that's a really core part. And we also do social events, so creating that sense of place around Indianapolis. Third is professional networking and skills development. And technology, as you all I'm sure have heard, technology is moving so fast that university curriculums can't keep up, and it's crazy to expect them to, because the technology, by the time they would have a curriculum around Ruby on Rails, startups would be on to the new and next and greatest. So that's where we can come in. And rather than Tinderbox, which is a great example, they're a company of about 50, rather than having them teach their 2 interns Ruby on Rails in a boot camp and invest tons of money, we can do that. And rather than impacting 2 students, we can impact over 100. So it's all about the collective power of companies coming together and investing in that next generation. So getting them access to new skills. And then last is giving back to the community. So right now we are acutely aware that we are a college and beyond program, but we're now that we have this cycle of students, we want to leverage their brain power to get them connected to the next generation. And so we work with elementary schools, with community centers, and then we hosted our own K-12 hackathon to not necessarily make a second grader an all-star programmer, but to get them excited about technology and to reduce the fear that a student who doesn't have a computer in the home might face when they go to code.org for the first time. And using college students as that platform has been really successful. And so we're only in our 3rd year of Extern, but in our 1st year we worked with Christa Morehouse, and 100% of the students who participated in the youth mentoring program the 1st year came back to participate the 2nd summer, opted in to participate again. So we're seeing that cycle of getting the young students interested and passionate about technology. So that's the Extern program in a nutshell. Just a little bit on timeline and how we got started. So it's possible to do it with one person. So I was brought on board, and we couldn't do it without the support of our companies, both financial and time supportive companies, Lilly Endowment, EmployUp, other folks that have invested in us, or EmployIndy. But this thing launched in March of 2014 at a college hackathon. And that was the first time we had gone public to students. And mind you, by this point in the year, most of these software developer computer science students have already accepted job offers. They're getting recruited in August, the second they step foot on campus. So we launched in March of 2014 and had our first class by June. And we started with 50 students across 12 companies. And we needed that initial economy of scale just so we could barter housing downtown. And then for our second class, we started recruitment in August of 2014, which made it a lot easier. When you can recruit in the fall, it's much easier to attract students. And then our most recent class kicked off in June of 2015, where we had 108 students working across 36 companies. Some early success. So again, our mission is place-based talent attraction and retention. And so in our first 2 years, we've seen 591 applications from 14 states and 33 universities, colleges and universities. Quick update for the class of 2016, which we are in the throes of recruiting right now. We received nearly 900 applications from 57 universities. So the word is spreading. I think one of the best stories that I recently connected with a student on Purdue's campus. I had never met him before. I was explaining the Extern program and I asked him, I was like, have you heard of the program before? And he goes, well, I'm a computer science student at Purdue. Of course I've heard of Extern. It's like the ultimate experience that we all strive towards. So that was success. And that was exactly what I had hoped to hear. Quickly, only 22% of students across both of our class years had a positive impression of Indianapolis before the Extern program. At the end of the summer, 98% reported a positive impression. And then prior to Extern, only 12% of students considered a career in Central Indiana. At the end of the summer, 78% said they were committed to a career in Indianapolis post-graduation. So those numbers we're going to keep tracking. We want to be very data-driven. But that's it. I'll be around for questions. I don't think I won shortest presentation, but I'll stick around for questions after.
Thank you, Sally. Next up, we're going to hear from Vincennes University and Chuck Johnson, who's the interim president.
Well, thank you all again today for the opportunity to talk about some exciting things going on at Vincennes University. As many of you know, Vincennes is the oldest institution of higher education in Indiana, but I think we've progressed our programs beyond the old days of building wagon wheels and training animals. But we are very excited about the many exciting things we're doing to help the state move forward with our workforce needs. VU is all about partnerships, and the programs I'm going to talk about today are a really great example of how VU has been an integral part of various partnerships to help solve education and workforce and development needs throughout the state. VU's three programs I'm going to talk about are all work and learn programs. The first is our AMT program, the Advanced Maintenance Technician program, which we started in 2013 with Toyota Motor Manufacturing of Indiana, based in Fort Branch, Indiana. That program is one that's been in place for 3 years now and has actually had a graduating class. The second program is our Career Advancement Partnership program, which we do at our Jasper campus, which is about 50 miles east of Vincennes. That program is one that is in its second year. And then most recently, we expanded a partnership we had in the Lafayette area with Subaru to include 4 employers, and that's the Advanced Internship in Manufacturing. That program is now entering actually its first full year of operation. So the Toyota program is one that actually Toyota came to Vincennes University and said, we like the things that you're doing with your advanced maintenance program, helping students to prepare to keep the lines running, to keep the factories productive. We like the graduates, we like the skills that you've produced, and we'd like to extend that relationship beyond just what we've been doing, which is hiring our students and recruiting our interns. We need to help develop our workforce, and we want to work with you to do that. So they took a look at our curriculum and computer integrated manufacturing technology and said the curriculum actually is a curriculum that we like just to keep in place. In fact, it's the one that we think is the model for many others. And that program launched in 2013 with 20 Toyota interns and 4 interns from companies throughout the rest of the state. So that program is modeled after a great model that Toyota has established elsewhere, where the students are working 2 days a week full-time, making $17 an hour, and then they're going to school 3 days a week in very intensive blocks of time. So these are 3 full days of academic experience in lab time. These programs allow the students not only to progress through the program in a very clear and steady pace, but it also gives them great experience that they're learning while they're also learning skills in the classroom, and they can apply what they're learning in the classroom immediately to the workforce. And the students have the opportunity to earn additional raises and growth in pay when they complete certain tasks and certifications and show productivity and common sense in the workplace. One of the things that Toyota takes great pride in is that they are trying to develop individuals who are not only going to be great technicians, but also great employees, great team players. And so they really evaluate the students not only on what they're doing in the classroom, but also what they're doing at the plant level. We just graduated our first class of that group and had 100% placement out of the group. We did lose a couple of students along the way. We had about 80% of the cohort actually finish, but of those who finished, 100% were placed, and the average starting salary for these 2-year students was $50,000. We're quite proud of that. We think it's a great opportunity for students who wish to find a path that perhaps may not be one that they thought of before. This next program we have actually started with conversations we had with several employers in Jasper, Indiana, which is a manufacturing mecca in the middle of south central Indiana. And Jasper has many smaller companies. They didn't have a Toyota-size manufacturer who could step up and do 20 or 25 students, but they had several smaller firms, mid-sized firms, that could do 4 or 5, 3, 2 or 1 people that they could bring together. And we worked with them actually to establish a curriculum that would be acceptable and work with them, work with all the employers. And that program launched in 2014. And the great thing about that program is it takes the same kind of model, but it has a little bit of a different spin to it. The curriculum is a more traditional industrial maintenance curriculum, a little less on the robotics side because of the needs of the employers. And we have a variety of different industries represented as well. So that program, again, is very similar. The students are going to class Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, working on Mondays and Fridays. They get great experience in the plants that they're in. They have a chance to interact with all of the different employers, so it's not just focused on one employer. They have a lot of opportunity to gain summer experiences as well beyond just the traditional work experience. So they start the summer beforehand, and then they go through the academic year and work part-time and go to school full-time. Students graduate with an associate degree from Vincennes University after 2 years in general technology. Because of the specialized curriculum, they then are able to use that for employment in those employers. And one of the things about the programs, all the programs we have, in fact, the Advanced Internship and Manufacturing program we have in Lafayette is a little bit different model yet. Those students actually start and spend a semester on the Vincennes campus and gain their residency status and complete about 18 credits on the Vincennes campus. And then they go and begin employment in Lafayette area starting the next semester and follow a similar format. But because of the intensive semester, they actually work 3 days a week and go to school 2 days a week before they earn their degree. So these are straight through 6-semester programs, but they are graduating in 2 years, no debt, great job opportunities, great skill set, having paid for that education through the earnings that they've made while they're working. One of the things about this really is the fact that it's not a starting point. It is a starting point. It's not an ending point. Graduates can then move from these degrees and move on to other baccalaureate programs. We have articulations with Purdue. We have our own bachelor's degree in technology that we offer that students could go into if and when they're ready to move on to that next level. And in fact, some of the employers, including Subaru and others, will actually help pay for that baccalaureate degree once a student has been in their ranks for 6 months or so. So one of the things I think it's important for us in Indiana is to look at, there are many paths to that baccalaureate degree, and sometimes that path has a way station, if you will, a great place to start their career that will help them move on later on to get that baccalaureate degree. We don't have to go directly from high school to going to get that baccalaureate degree to have some great career opportunities. These middle skills careers that we're seeing and talking about today really are a fantastic way for individuals perhaps to get their careers started. They may stay in those career paths or they may move on. The future really is not limited for them. But we need to find ways to get more and more individuals to see this, and I think it takes a lot more effort on our part to help meet these needs that we have in the state of Indiana. So with that, I'm done. If there are questions, I'm happy to address them, but I think we've got a program to keep moving here. So, okay. Thank you.
Okay, last, certainly not least, John Groth is here from Tech Center. You're the principal and director. Appreciate you being here to share a little bit about the program.
Thank you.
Hold your applause, please. Thanks for inviting me today. I am the director of the career and technical education programs in Porter County. I've got about 35 different career options for students, 1,100 students in half-day programs. Love my job. I know there's other career and technical education secondary administrators in the audience. Would you show me who you are? Because that's my choir. Yep. There they are. You guys do tremendous work. Your kids graduate at a higher rate than any other students, and I know you work as hard as I do. Last week I was visiting one of my friends who's a retired administrator. He's got a little farm, and I was out in his front porch, and we were just talking about what you do, the weather and jobs and stuff like that, and I was stroking his dog, and nice dog, and I looked at my buddy and I said, what's your dog's name? He goes, it's a flower. It's got rose or thorns. I says, a rose? Is it Rose? He goes, that's it. Hey, Rose, what do we name this dog anyway? It's good to laugh, so I thought I hadn't heard too many chuckles today, so I thought we needed to do that. Somebody just got it. I'm going to talk about an internship. Career and technical education administrators have been doing internships forever. That's been our life. Different ways, job shadowing, paid internships, unpaid internships, we've done all of those. I'm going to talk mostly about a kind of a capstone program, but I want to just set the scene a little bit. 23 years ago when I started my present job, my new superintendent, the first thing he asked me to do was meet with local manufacturing CEOs and tell them the rumor about closing our machine trades program is not true due to low enrollment. So that's what I did. I marched over. We had a meeting with all the key CEOs in town, and I told them we're not closing our machine trades program, even though the enrollment's low. They're happy to hear that, and I marched back to the superintendent, told him I accomplished the goal. I told the CEOs we are not going to close our machine trades program due to low enrollment. He said, well, good. But now I'm going to close that program unless you improve the enrollment. And that's what we've been faced with all our careers, I think. Building up enrollment, especially in those programs that are difficult to recruit students into. I'm really lucky. I've got a tremendous machine trades program at my facility. That's what I'm going to talk about a little bit ago. And 23 years ago, it started because I went back to one of those CEOs. I said, for me to build that enrollment, you have to hire my graduates. And he did. So 23 years ago, he hired our top 2 students. And he did it. He was smart in that he didn't do it with a youth type wage. He did it with a competitive wage. He paid the students an adult wage. So he got the pick of the litter, the cream of the crop, whatever you call it, our top 2 students. And he started doing that, and he's basically done that for 23 years, sometimes 3 kids, sometimes 4 kids every year. So he's one part of this final internship I'm going to talk about, that company. That company is called Task Force Tips. They're a global manufacturer of fire hose nozzle components. Very successful, family-owned business, pay very good wages, nice place to work. So that relationship, and I heard the governor say internships are about relationships, are clearly about relationships, started 23 years ago. Other employers, we've always provided other graduates to other employers too, but the other really the best employer in our community is a place called Urschel Laboratories. Urschel Laboratories is about a 400 employee company. Potato chips you ate today were sliced with an Urschel machine. If you ate a pickle last night, that was sliced by everything. Every food commodity that's been sliced was cut by an Urschel Laboratory machine. And that's made in, the company was in Valparaiso, now it's in Chesterton. They never had to recruit employees because they paid really well, and it was a great place to work. When I first moved to the community, and that was 30 years ago, people said to get a job at Urschel, you should watch the obituaries, because that's the only time they hire is if somebody dies on their job. So that's the only way to get a job. Now, over those 30 years, and actually about 6 years ago, they realized their workforce was aging out, and their turnover was getting really difficult. So that's when they started coming to us to say, hey, we need to start hiring your graduates too. So that's the component of the partnership right now, those 2 employers, Task Force Tips, Urschel Laboratories, and also Vincennes University, who's a tremendous partner in this. One of the things we did with both of those employers was make a trip down to Vincennes. And Vincennes is not a neighbor of ours. They're a 5-hour drive for us. So they're not close, but they're a tremendous program, tremendous university, and very cooperative. Did find out it was kind of nice that 5-hour drive is only 45 minutes in an airplane, but when you get to do it that way, it's not bad. So we visited Vincennes with both of those employers who thought that was a great outcome for more employees for them and also for our graduates. So we'd been putting kids into both those employers, both in internships, and the way we'd start this is between the junior and senior year of high school, between their first and second year of our machine trades program. They'd work full-time at one of those employers just to see how things worked. They'd come back to school in their senior year and take our class, but also work after school at those employers. And then we've always kind of tried to place every kid into employment early in their second semester of their second year with us. So they'd be seniors, and they'd now be into a full paid internship released early from school and working at those employers. Well, to kind of culminate this, to really make this a tremendous program, those 2 employers, one 3 years ago and one 2 years ago, started not just hiring the kids for those part-time jobs and summer internship jobs, but also they would select 3 every year who they would give a full ride to Vincennes University, a 2.5-year scholarship, books, fees, housing, tuition to Vincennes, plus a full-time job. When they're home for Christmas, they can go back to work. When they're home in the summer, they go back to work. If I can paint the picture a little bit, invite 3 sets of parents in, so far it's been young men, 3 young men in, to present them to the employer, or the employer has said they're selected for this scholarship internship job at a good company, local company for good wages. And they're going to walk out with a full degree from Vincennes plus a certificate in 2.5 years with no debt and a full-time permanent job if they want it. Makes for a pretty proud administrator, and of course 3 sets of very happy parents with both of those companies, so it's actually 6 sets. So that's what I came to present to you today. I think that's the model that if you can get to, obviously it takes employers that are very supportive and really donate a lot of, or contribute quite a bit of money, but those aren't gigantic companies. They're not Subaru, they're not U.S. Steel, they're not ArcelorMittal, but those can all happen in everybody's community, I hope. With that, thank you for listening to me and for chuckling.
Thanks, John. My job now is to thank you all, give you just a couple housekeeping items, and then send you off. So for educators in the room, at the registration table where you came in today, there's a sheet for PGP points. Please pick that up on your way out. We will be sending a survey to you within the next couple of days. We really appreciate your feedback on that survey. As we look to 2016 and replicating this event, your feedback will be really important in terms of the content itself. I know that there are still a number of presenters who are in the room. If you'd like to make connection, please do. Just keep in mind, school lets out at 2:45, so you may want to plan accordingly. If you saw a presenter or didn't get to connect with someone in the room, but you wish to, if you let myself or my team know, we will make sure the connection happens. Just give us a heads up. And then I wanted to recognize Mayor Milo came in the room, I believe. Is the mayor over there still? There she is. Thank you so much for being here, and welcome to the State Workforce Innovation Council. We'll talk about that later. New appointee. And then I wanted to let you all in on something. We've had 2 guests with us today that have just kind of been taking in the event and the stories that you've been sharing. And those 2 guests come from us from the National Governors Association out in Washington, D.C. You may or may not know that we are a National Governors Association Policy Academy state, specifically for Talent Pipeline, specifically for the work of the Indiana Career Council that we've been engaged in. We applied for that Policy Academy last year and then received it. What does a Policy Academy mean to the state? Well, it means the National Governors Association provides technical assistance within a content area, so Talent Pipeline, but then they also give us opportunity, along with a number of colleagues, to work with those across the country on best practices, scaling, etc., around that given topic. They have just announced a few weeks ago a Policy Academy around work and learn. And so we had 2 staff members, Megan Wills and Kimberly Haig, who had to step out for a conference call, have been here the entire day just to listen to your stories and what you had to share. We as a state are applying for the Policy Academy grant around work and learn, and I think, given that you've been here today, you might be interested in the focus of that Policy Academy. It's a framework for high-quality, demand-driven, work-based learning. It'll be a Policy Academy of 18 months in length. It's focused on 16 to 29-year-olds, particularly in STEM and in the middle skills areas. It has 5 areas which they hope to see in work and learn: elevating work and learn, defining it, enhancing it, measuring it, and scaling it. Sounds like some of what you all have been talking about today. And they do look at work-based learning in the broadest categories, so internships, co-ops, on-the-job training, apprenticeships, pre-apprenticeships, structured work experiences, and the like. So we're leveraging some of what we've been doing on the Career Council. We will be continuing to think about some of what you all have shared today and other stories like that, about that which we hope to replicate and expand. We really want to better understand the number of these kinds of experiences that we have across the state, the numbers of employers and students that are engaged, and certainly having that data capture and best practices. And we want to be able to share that back out with all of you to support your work as well. So that's our intent. If you have other questions about that, please let me know. The applications are due next week from all of the states to the National Governors Association, and then should we be selected, you will hear about it, and we'll look to partner with you on that going forward. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Really happy to see you. Please continue to stay in touch, and we'll certainly be in touch with you. Best wishes.